person with enough predestined conditions can read Buddhist scriptures, see the truth of the Tao, very practical and concrete, guide people how to live virtuously. Practice and cultivate body and mind to escape from the life of the exile, the sufferings of human life by their own self-reliance. Especially controlling life and death as desired, and also ending rebirth and reincarnation. Therefore, when you start to come to Buddhism to become a true disciple, you need to understand what is true and what is not true of Buddhism. You need to wisely accept what is right and know how to get rid of what is not true of Buddhism. And finally, you need to know how to respect and not respect what is and isn't of Buddhism. The majority of Buddhists today do not revere and respect the true Dharma of Buddhism. They often respect the developed teachings of some sects and always practice according to that superstitious abstract teaching, even though the results of their practice are not reverent. Doing nothing. If anyone dares to say that the developed teachings of those sects are not Buddhist, it is the superstitious teaching of the Brahmin, pagan religion. They are angry and find ways to resist, sometimes also use abusive and conservative words. When a person does not know the Buddha Dharma, does not understand Buddhism, one day is fortunate enough to read about the Buddhist scriptures like the case we heard from the Buddhists. Since when have I not known the Buddha Dharma? One day was given by a friend the book Tu Lang Niam. Thanks to reading this sutra, I came to understand that Buddhism is so wonderful, so beautiful. So since then I turned my mind to Buddhism, often went to listen to lectures in temples and buy more kinds of Buddhist scriptures to study the path and practice. The way to practice Buddhism. The more I read Buddhist scriptures, the more I want to become a monk. Those are those who are fortunate enough to read such sutras as the Shurangama Sutra, the Vajra Sutra, the Lotus Sutra, the universal Buddhist study, and the entire Dhamma or Nikaya teaching. On the contrary, those who have not had enough grace, have not read Buddhist scriptures, do not understand how Buddhism is, should look at Buddhism as a superstitious religion. And Buddha is like a god who specializes in protecting and blessing the world. Most people now understand Buddhism through 4 different sects. When Pure Land Buddhism turns Buddhism into a superstitious religion, worshipping, praying, and reciting Buddha's name to seek rebirth like Brahmanism. 2 Zen Buddhism turns Buddhism into the religion of the heavenly people. 3 Buddhist philosophy turns Buddhism into psychology. 4 Tantra turns Buddhism into a mystical, sacred religion. In fact, Buddhism is not psychology, it is not a metaphysical realm, ultimate bliss. It is not the essence of all things, nor is it divine or divine. But it is a normal life like everyone else is living. But they have distanced themselves from desires and the things that make our minds suffer. Understand correctly and know how to live properly, separation from evil desires will have a peaceful and unharmed soul. That is the person who has a predestined relationship with the true Dharma of Buddhism, otherwise, it is meaningless. Predestined or met with evil Dharma or predestined with evil Dharma as the Buddhists mentioned above. It is better for those with predestined not to meet the true Buddha Dharma than those who are predestined to encounter the evil Dharma of a foreign religion. Encountering the evil Dharma of the outside world, it gives birth to a view that is very difficult to get rid of. Humans are inherently ignorant, so when they encounter any Dharma, they believe blindly, so it is easy to get attached to the wrong Dharma. Even though they know that it is not the right Dharma of Buddhism, it is very difficult to quit. Therefore, in this world there are many religions, but all religions have followers, especially those with supernatural powers which are easier to tempt followers. Therefore, the teaching that has supernatural powers, the followers are more and more crowded like ants on the road. Who doesn't listen to miracles, but magic is just a kind of illusion. Cheating people. Buddha is a Buddha self-help religion. Those who want to follow the true path of Buddhist practice must clearly understand that human life, from birth to death, is a life of suffering. Suffering as it really is. Suffering because their body and mind are full of afflictions, greed, hatred, delusion. Suffering because people living around them think differently. Suffering because of the opposite situation at the right time. Suffering because food and clothing must be hard work. When we see right suffering like that, then we dare to choose the path of Buddhist practice. If you don't see life's suffering as it really is and see it as happy, peaceful, and happy, you shouldn't choose the Buddhist path. Why so? Because the Buddhist path is the opposite of human life, and the Buddhist path is a path where you have to use your own strength and always have to cultivate yourself. Mind and practice, trying to let go of the mind is full of lust and evil things that surround it. When we want to give up like that, we need to be brave, taciturn, persistent, endure, patient, etc., and also have enough energy to boldly give up bad habits, not bad habits. Enter the Buddha's temple to worship, beseech, beg, with the help of other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to bless, help save suffering and rescue, liberate suffering, calamities, diseases, etc., or continue the mid-life. Convert the souls of the dead to the Western Pure Land. And it is also not necessary to practice by chanting sutras, reciting the Buddha's name, reciting mantras, sitting in meditation, practicing charms, practicing mantras to have magical powers, etc., or praying to be reborn in nirvana by the power of the Buddhas and Buddhists. Bodhisattva, if you want to practice Buddhism to escape the sufferings of human life, you must use your own strength. Not rely on other people's strength as in non-Buddhist scriptures to develop. Reading the Theravada scriptures, we see that the Buddha taught cultivation by means of self-help methods, most of which did not have a teaching to practice seeking other blessings. Only scriptures on the development of non-Buddhist religions can teach cultivation through external powers only, reciting Buddha's name to seek rebirth. When listening to the lecture, someone asked it, so, in the Theravada scriptures the Buddha taught the four immutable purifications. Isn't the method of the four immutable purifications, which is reciting the Buddha's name, the Dharma, the Sangha, and the precepts? Dear Buddhists, the Buddha taught that reciting Buddha's name is living like a Buddha, not reciting the Buddha's name. Dharma concept is to live as the Dharma, to practice as the Dharma, not to chant. The concept of the Sangha is to live in harmony like the Sangha, not against each other, not the voids, make offerings and prostrate to the Sangha to seek blessings and treasures. The concept of precepts is to live strictly the holy life, without breaking the precepts and without making any small mistakes. Not every month on the 30th and on the full moon day together. They recite the precepts, listening to the teaching of Buddha's recitation, Dharma, Sangha, and precepts. Scholars interpret it according to the meanings and interpret it, and reciting it is reading silently in mind, like the sentence, Namo Buddha, Buddha Shakyamuni, or Nam model of devotion, right understanding, wisdom, happiness, goodness, worldly interpretation. Unsurpassed one, Master of Master, seen in one Master, Buddha, world-honored one. Such mindfulness is mindfulness that has no meaning, no liberation at all. Here the Buddha taught mindfulness, which is the thinking of Buddha Dharma, Sangha, and precepts, so that we can thoroughly understand the Buddha Dharma, Sangha, and precepts implying liberation, so that we can follow that and practice living and cultivating. practice as the Buddha, as the Dharma, as the Sangha, and as the precepts taught. With such understanding and practice, there is true liberation. While reciting the Buddha's name, chanting sutras, making offerings to the monks, bowing to the monks, and reciting the precepts. Even if one recites the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and the precepts like this for thousands of years, there is no liberation at all. People are mistaken. Thinking like this is to be one-pointed, to not be disturbed. That is to think without false thoughts. Just recite the Buddha's name to be reborn in the Pure Land. 7-day, one-pointed mind. No disturbances. Specialized in maintaining the title of Amitabha Buddha, evil saints in the current generation of saints. According to Zen Buddhism, one-pointedness is not disorder, that is, not thinking of good, thinking of evil. Not thinking of good and evil is meditation, is Buddha nature. But all such practices are wrong, friends. Your undisturbed one-pointedness will fall into the world of perception, of the aggregates of perception, where this is the labyrinth and array of pagan cults. Cultivators should be wary of this dangerous lobster cave. If you practice here, beware of nervous disorders that endanger your life, turning you into a madman. Newcomers to Buddhism are bewildered by the huge pile of Buddhist scriptures that develop. There are kinds of scriptures that we read and see that all of our practice relies on other powers to help us on the way to liberation, such as the Infinite Light Sutra, the Amitabha Sutra, the Returning Sutra, the Lotus Sutra, etc. All these sutras have made the monk discouraged, lose all energy, turning Buddhism into a religion of other strength. A superstitious religion that makes people after the practice only know how to ask for help from others. These wrong practices in Buddhism, there is no one else who has attained enlightenment like Shakyamuni Buddha. They believe that newcomers must chant, worship, recite the Buddha's name, bow to the Buddha's names, seek other Dharma powers. And long-time cultivators must rely on themselves to meditate and meditate. A practitioner who understands Buddhism in this way means that he or she does not understand Buddhism at all. If he understands that, he understands the development of Buddhism by theorists who have no realization of the way. Newbies practice as lay people. The Buddha taught the first self-training lesson is to give up 6 evil occupations in daily life. That is, if you want to follow Buddhism, you have to turn bad jobs into good ones. Through the discourse on ending the 6 evil karmas, we clearly see the spirit of self-reliance of Buddhism from the very beginning. When we enter the way, we hear Shakyamuni Buddha teach. Understand what needs to be understood, give up what needs to be abandoned, practice what needs to be cultivated, cultivate what should be cultivated, the deeds. Can't rely on someone else's strength. Buddhism is a religion built on the foundation of good dharma. All evil dharmas must be eradicated. Thanks to the elimination of evil dharmas, the growth of good dharmas, a new life has liberation. Peace and happiness for the people. Yourself for people. Eliminating the evil dharma only has self-reliance. There can be no other's power. Evil deeds must be removed by themselves. We cannot seek help from others. For example, if I go to steal, ask others to help me not to steal or steal. Is it okay? It cannot be. You have to know for yourself that it's an evil deed that causes people to suffer. Then you should give up, just like the 6 evil occupations. You can't ask the Buddhas to help you stop those evil deeds. You have to quit by yourself. Do not practice that evil anymore. Thanks to that, we clearly know that Buddhism is a self-help religion. Other power scriptures are not Buddhist scriptures. Buddhism looks at life with the eyes of cause and effect. Cause and effect can only be removed by self-reliance. Even if there is a universal being, it cannot help us in this. Therefore, Buddhism is a religion that is non-religious. A religion without a universal God who saves suffering, a religion by human self-reliance to save oneself from all suffering. So Buddhism is also called the way of living alone. Buddhism is also known as a humanistic morality, because in effect, living without suffering for oneself or others and without suffering all sentient beings.